Hello and welcome to Coffee Charge Conversations here at Real Global Productions. Today we are joined by our studio manager, Thabo Buda.
Mikey Mike, how are you, sir?
I'm good. How are you, Buda?
Fantastic. Thank you for having me, man. It's so different to be on this side of the cameras, eh? Not running around stressing that they're all running right. It's really good.
How did you find your first ice bath?
Man, it was such an experience. It was definitely cold, uh, but I think I actually shocked myself a little bit with regards to how it is just a mental test. It's a mental thing. Yeah, it was great. It was a little bit painful getting out. The towel on my body was like sandpaper, but really good, really good. I really enjoyed it.
Over 10 minutes, the first of our guests, number one on the leaderboard.
Pew, pew, pew. Mind blowing. It's great.
Was production something that you always wanted to get into?
Sure. I've always loved the arts and media and yeah, I've always loved media, but I never ever thought I would be part of a production team, production company. I was a DJ for a good while and I produced my own music, but nowhere near how I am now. And I think that was obviously the entrance into the media space for me. And I think I've just fallen in love with the technical aspects behind it. Because I mean, you see a 30-second advert on TV and you think, oh, well, bro, that's PowerPoint. You put some colors together. But my man, it's a whole ton of admin and work and second guessing that happens behind the scenes. And I think I've just fallen in love with the process of production. Um, I think the end goals speak for itself. It's the process that, yeah, has got my heart, I think.
What does passion have to play with it?
Everything, absolutely everything. If you're not passionate about it, it's a waste of time. If you're not passionate about it, it will feel like work. If you're not passionate, you will always want more reward for what you do. Just because the reward when you're passionate about something it's a self-fulfillment reward. It's I get to do what I'm passionate about, which is worth more than any paycheck or any XYZ ABCD that you could offer me. So yeah, I think passion has everything to do with it. If you're not passionate about what you're doing, I think change what you're doing.
So you also at the age of 28, am I right?
Yeah, 28.
28. Okay, I'm glad I got that right.
Absolutely.
At the age of 28, you have now been a father for 2 years.
Yeah, 2 years and 3 months.
We haven't had anyone on the podcast yet that's spoken about fatherhood or being a parent. Yeah, how has that played out in your life?
Sure, how much time do we have, eh? Fatherhood is such an incredible thing, man. It has been challenging and rewarding and just fun seeing a mini me, well, half me, half the love of my life exist and grow. Um, yeah, he's a hurricane in a teacup. His name is Corey. His favorite things are currently dinosaurs and baby shark. It's a weird and wonderful thing, but he's great, dude. Like I often say, time flies before you have a child, but once you have a child, you watch the clock as time flies. It's been crazy. I feel like I've been a parent for 8 months, 5 months, but I've got a 2.5-year-old. So yeah, really, really good.
And
It's been awesome.
how do you balance, like, because I know obviously you're a very hard worker, but at the same time, you got family responsibilities. How do you balance that?
Um, I think it's about presence, to be honest with you. I think if I'm not present around my child, then obviously my job will outweigh my relationship with my kid, and more importantly than just my child, but my entire family, right? So I think if I, however, on the contrary to that, if I have an hour of my day with me fully focused, dedicated, present with what my kid and family are doing, it makes the balance a lot easier. And then also your why with regards to your job, I think is very, very important. And as soon as your why is feeding the side of the scale that is for your family, it makes it a lot easier to balance your work and your life. Just because imagine you sit in an environment where your why is your family and you're working for your family, but you never ever see your family or get time to spend with your family because you're working. Is that why being fulfilled? No, I don't think so. So the balance comes in with understand your why, which is for my family, and understand the sacrifices that you give up in order to facilitate your family, and the opportunities and time you get with your family are now made that much more important and that much more meaningful based on your presence. Um, yeah, I think I've answered the question. Like it's what you associate importance to, and for me, it's time with my kid, genuine, real time, not saying I've spent time with you.
And what kind of values do you want to instill in Corey?
Oh my goodness, I've always said he will be a gentleman before anything. I'd like to raise an honest child. I'd like to raise a strong-willed, strong-charactered individual.
So very, very different to his dad, you mean? Just kidding.
Yeah, look, I think more similar to his mom. I think his mom definitely is the stronger character, is more willing to have her character portray who she is and how she's feeling. Whereas I'm, believe it or not, a lot more of the introvert, where my character will come out once I've been able to suss what your character is. And I don't know why. It's a comfort, actually, and it's probably something I need to work on. But through Corey, I see it. Like, so for example, in a new environment, he is shy. He's a shy kid. He wants mommy and daddy. But as soon as he's comfortable with the environment, boy, is that now his environment. It's his world that we're in, So he is a beautiful blend between the both of us. And I think the values, or how do I say, the core values that I fell in love with in his mom and the core values that she fell in love with me are being portrayed through our kid, second to none, just because one big thing that we relate to our son is you were made by love. So love and love met each other. They came together and made a love. And that's what you are. So love isn't always pretty. It's not always what you want it to be, but that's what made you. So even with your flaws and your quirks and your character differences, bro, it's facilitated by love. So you're in a great place regardless. That's the value. Just love. Be a beacon for love.
You've always been a beacon for love.
Thank you, Mike.
Since I've known you, and yeah, I just think you're a very genuine person, very energetic and excited about things, like passionate, and I really love just spending time in the studio here with everyone here. I mean, Misha, Chris, yourself, I just feel like, just such nice people.
My bomb squad.
Yeah, and we all have a passion towards what we're doing, and it's important, I think, to surround yourself with people that have that energy.
Most
that
definitely.
Even if you sat in a room together and said nothing, you can feel it.
Absolutely. I think I've always been a kid who will try, if that makes sense. So I'll always try to figure it out, try to make the plan, try to facilitate what somebody else is going through, try to understand where people are coming from, try to be quiet when I need to be. And I think that in an environment like this, obviously we're a very little team, right? But I think just based on attitude, I've been able to foster an environment that the sky's the limit with regards to us, only because we will try, right? If we don't get to the sky, then in that vein, yes, the limit is the sky, but we'll try it, and I think what we've been able to build is just a really good symbiotic relationship between each other, where if Chris is in the doldrums, I'll take the slack. If I'm in the doldrums, Misha will take the slack. If Misha's down, Chris and I will try to facilitate what
right now, usually you behind the camera, making sure the angle's right and everything.
Absolutely.
And, here we are having a conversation together.
I'm behind the camera. Absolutely. And look, it's a testament to the team that I've built, just because, or that was built for me. I don't even know how to term that, but I'm the kid who, regardless of what the task is, even if I've never done it, I'm going to try it just so I understand what it is. And I think that all of us have that attitude, which is why we can sub in for each other when we need to, which is why this works. It's not a one size fits all industry at all. It changes from week to week. A process that we could, in our minds, even with this podcast, for example, in our minds, bro, we've jotted down the process, we've jotted down the settings, we've jotted down everything to create consistency. Next week, it may not apply.
Yeah.
You understand? So it's okay. Let's try that. Let's try this. So it's a constant trial and error environment.
So, what's been the most surprising thing that you've learned about yourself now since being a father?
Oh, wow. Uh, Surprising thing about myself. I'm a lot more patient than I thought. Or to articulate that better, I'm a lot less patient with myself than I am with my environment. So, um, I mean, even with my kid and my fiance. So she has no patience. Okay, she is all Leo. She's all fire. She's all short fuse. You know, she's intense, which I absolutely love. I adore. And my kid is the same. Okay, so my kid has no fuse. My man, he is 0 to 100, and he's all fire, bro. He's like,
Yeah.
dude, wrong me, and I will show you how you wronged me, and I will do it twice back to you. And I've realized that I have patience for it. I can sit and, no, it's okay, dude, work through it, like whatever, whatever, whatever. Whereas you must see the two of them get into an argument with each other. It's like question, question, fire. So I'm definitely the patience in the relationship. However, what I'll tell you is, what I learned really early on is I have no patience when I'm hungover, even for my child, which was a very, very big whoa moment to me, because it's saying that my presence changes with regards to my family based on me drinking the day before. Okay.
Then you feel like you're almost not being yourself.
I'm not being who my kid deserves because he inherited a dad that was patient. So I chose to drink. I chose to get drunk. I chose to be hungover. Why is that defaulted onto him? And even further than him, my fiance, So yeah, my patience dwindles a little bit when I'm hungover. But yeah, I don't really think anything has surprised me really. Just because, like, with regards to my kid, I premeditate everything, or at least try to. Obviously, there's things that we cannot control and are out of our control, but I do just try to put myself in the best position to deal with whatever he could be going through.
And do you feel like you've become more self-aware since having a child?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Just because your kid he's a mirror, my man. Like my child is a mirror. What I do and how I act, he reciprocates. I mean, even down to my dog. So he'll be eating his dinner and he'll say, look, daddy, I'm going to eat like Theodore. And he will not use his hands and try eat his dinner. And he will take bites out. It's like, okay, dude, this kid is a sponge, bro. Even down to, we call him his brother, even down to our dog Theodore. So for me, it's like, bro, he's taking in everything you do and say, and not just taking it in, but reciprocating it to the world to see how the world reacts to it. And depending on how the world reacts to that is how his character will be built, is how his character will be developed. So it's my job to give you the best opportunity of outcome, right? So I will act a certain way around you. And it's become my nature. It's become who I am. And I will associate and treat your mom how I want you to be treating women as they grow. And best believe there were changes to how I refer to my fiance before Corey and after Corey, just because of my now awareness to somebody is copying this. Somebody is taking this, extrapolating it, putting it out into the world. And like I said, how the world receives that information is how my child will develop his character. And one of the biggest things I've ever learned is, one of the biggest pieces of advice I was ever given, and it still sticks with me today, is your job as a parent is to prepare your child for the world without you, which is a very, very scary thing to think about. I mean, he's 2 years old. I can't even imagine a world where I'm not in his life. But the work I'm doing now with him, the observations I'm making now with him are to prepare him for how he can deal with stresses, situations, life, the world, when I'm not here to hold your hand through it. So it's a gift and a curse. I see it as a blessing because it's like, wow, dude, I get to mold that. Fantastic, dude. We're going to give it 100% of the time the best. We're going to give your all. You're never going to slack till 99%. Why? Because what if he's 1% not prepared when you're not here? Is that where you want to leave your kid? Absolutely not. So yeah, that's what I'd say. That would be my answer.
So at this age, I mean, for me, 26, almost 27, I think I see a lot of people that I went to school with or that I know that are getting married, having kids, and people start talking about it a lot more. When I was younger in school, they asked what I want to be when I'm older, and I said I want to be a dad.
Absolutely. Yes,
Um,
Mike.
and now I'll be honest with you, I don't know. I don't know if I want to bring a kid into this world.
Mm,
And I think that's just because I'm still preparing myself for this
absolutely.
world. I don't think you'll ever be fully prepared, but
Mm,
it's something that I'm still thinking long and hard about. And I think a lot of people in their 20s, maybe their 30s, even their 40s are probably thinking about.
absolutely.
Yeah, what advice would you have for people that aren't sure if they want to have a kid, but they've got that societal pressure?
Mm. Um, okay, so what I'd first say is don't feel peer pressured into bringing a life into the world. Okay, that is the one thing you're allowed to be selfish about, I believe, because it is a responsibility that trumps all of your responsibilities. It's a responsibility. It's a responsibility that trumps all of your fun. It's a responsibility that trumps what your plans are with your finances. It's a responsibility that trumps when you want to travel. It, so it's a massive, massive responsibility. And one thing I say to anybody who's willing to give me the 30 seconds to speak to them, if you don't want a baby, if you're not ready for a baby, don't have a child. It's as simple as that. And not excuse my French, but be an asshole and go and impregnate women and not be a present father.
Yeah.
No. It's don't have the baby. Just don't put yourself in a position where a baby could be brought up from the situation, because it's taxing. It takes a lot from you. I mean, to put you into a little bit of perspective, the 9 months that obviously you're a guy, that your missus would be pregnant is really an emotional time. It's her body is changing. You're facilitating that. You're preempting this child to come. Um, it's scary. Things can go wrong. And then the birth of your child is the most emotionally exhausting day of your life. And that's the day your sleepless nights start. So you never recover from that exhaustion. And if your heart is not in the right place, you will resent that child. I promise you, only because they are a human being and you are their parents, which is not fair. It's not how you want to go down the parenthood vein, and I mean, this is me speaking from a guy's perspective. As women, right? It changes your body. It changes everything about you. You're not the same person before your child as you are after your child. And I mean, women go through postpartum depression, right? Now, imagine the woman you love is now depressed, right? Because they don't feel like they're a facilitating mom. They don't feel like they are attractive to their partner. They've got all of these apprehensions that you can really do nothing about. And you now have a child. Okay? Where does that leave you? You can really build a resentment to that little tiny human being. So, guys, fellas, gentlemen, people out there, if you don't want a baby, don't have a baby, right? And even in my situation, so I was in a weird situation. So I was 26 when Corey was born, obviously conceived at 25, just really young. I never ever thought that I would be that guy. I was always the guy who was planning to fall pregnant at 28, have a 1-year-old at 29 into my 30s. Okay. However, my relationship was ready for a child before I guess I was.
How did you know that though?
Um, how did I know that? So relationships aren't just, I'm dating you, you're dating me, we're doing this thing together, right? Relationships are a set of, how do you even term it? Are a set of not goals, but milestones, right? That you can reach with another person, okay? Now, those milestones are based on time, right? And with time, certain things in life you will do together, right? Which, in layman's terms, if those experiences are what you commit to and what is right for you and your partner feels the same, you will only experience with that one person, okay? And things like, for example, marriage, right? In a perfect world, bro, you should only experience marriage with one person, right? Buying a house. In a perfect world, bro, you do that with your spouse,
Yeah.
okay? You experience that with one person.
But there's no such thing as a perfect world. Bro.
Absolutely. But let me finalize the point. So
I know what you mean. Don't worry.
So for me, a baby is the pinnacle of your relationship. Like that's the last milestone. If you can get to that one and facilitate it true and through, there's nothing after it. Like think of it as like Xbox achievements. Like you've ticked off all of them. There's no more. You can redo achievements. Absolutely. You can go get married to the same woman again, right? You can buy another house with each other, but you will never ever be able to replicate the feeling of having a child unless it's another child.
But that work never stops, I feel.
Oh, no, absolutely not. Absolutely not. So, yeah, it's important to choose a child. It's important. So to answer the question, how do you know when you're ready? I really thought I wasn't. And Dee, my fiance, was like, look, what don't we have? I mean, we're both in decent jobs, right? We're both in actually very good jobs. We're blessed enough to have 2 cars, in a locked garage, in a house that we own. We have a dog, right? We're engaged to get married. We've set a date. It's a lot of milestones that we've ticked off. And we've traveled together, you know. So the one day, like, she said to me, what don't we have? What are we missing, dude? And I couldn't answer her. I couldn't give her a straight answer. And that's when I just thought to myself, you know, you're being peer pressured into believing that you should only be having a kid when you're 28. Dude, you've done the relationship where you're 8 years in. Your relationship is at a point, dude, where it's like, give me a baby. Like, let's elaborate on this thing, you know? And this is why, like I said earlier, we tell our kid, love made love and made you. So you are love. Do you understand? Because that's what was the precipice of the decision whether we should have a baby or not. It's like, dude, we've ticked off all of the criterias. I love you, bro. You love me. Are we going to do this together? Are we doing this? Sick, we're doing this, right?
Yeah.
And you won't even believe how it came up. So at my old job, everybody loved Dee. They all knew of her. Obviously, we'd been together for 8 years at the time. And I was only at my old job for 4 years. So they all knew her. They all loved her. We were all the model relationship that they wanted to have, obviously, because we got together. I was in matric, she was in grade 11. So we're high school sweethearts. And a good gentleman, his name is Mlando, I hope you watch this. He was like, because you're the reason, he said to me, so what does Dee want for her birthday? You know, what are you doing? You know, dinner, you know, you're going. And I was like, dude, she wants a baby. Like a baby? Like a child, toddler person, baby. And he looked at me and he was like, my man, that's the easiest thing you'll ever give her, bro. Give her a baby then. Like, you will love it, I promise you. Give her a baby. Give her a baby, bro. And 2 weeks later, we were pregnant. So, yeah, it was, you're scared of nothing. You're in your own head too much, you know. And I think people are good at doing that. We're good at making scenarios a lot bigger than they are internally, and then externally reacting like it is that big of a problem when that problem never even existed. You know, it's like an allergy, bro. It's like you're not allergic to anything, but your body thinks you're allergic to it, bro. It's not. It's in your head. You're in your head, you know. So, yeah, I think you're ready when your relationship is ready.
So I've spoken to quite a few older people, and I've actually reached out for advice and said, I'm not really sure if I want to bring a kid into the world. They all had kids, and the one day we sat down and we had dinner, and they said, I probably wouldn't. They said, if I could go back, I'd maybe travel a bit more. And I feel like, they said they feel like this world that we're in is so uncertain that they're not sure if they would. How do you feel about that?
I absolutely agree. But again, I have my contradictions. So the point we just made, right? If you don't want a baby, if you as an individual, right, not your partner, if you don't want a child, you shouldn't be having a baby, right? However, if your relationship is at a point where all that's missing is a baby, then it's a slightly different conversation. Um,
Because then it's almost like you're relying on the baby to make the relationship
it should
better.
be the other way around.
Yeah.
Yeah, it should be the other way around. I don't believe in people staying together for their child. That doesn't make sense to me. I'd rather be alone, happy, and have mom alone, happy, and have a child who can see both parents happy than staying in a toxic relationship.
And the child can probably feel that.
Absolutely. No, absolutely.
Sure.
So to the gentleman who've said, like, I'd probably go back and not do it. It's dependent on your relationship. And let me say it like this, right? So here's my be all and end all. I see as long as God will keep me on this green earth, a 70, 80-year relationship with this woman, right? Now, if I don't have children, right, and I end up 65 years old, and heaven forbid my partner passes away, it's just me. You understand? I've got no kids to relate to. I've got no grandbabies to relate to. So I think that aspect of it, I've got an irrational fear of being alone when I'm old and gray. You know, I want to be surrounded by
Support.
support, but support built on love. Like, you understand what I'm saying? But again, what is the precursor to all of that? It's my relationship with one person. You understand? And yeah, I never want to be 70 years old and have the regrets of not having a child because I could not experience what it was to raise a family. I could not experience what it was to have grandchildren. And to be honest, that's selfish of me. It is so selfish of me to even think like that, because what I'm saying is I choose you forever, so I'm expecting you to choose me forever. And that forever is based on my selfishness to say, I don't want to be alone when I'm older. So you might want to be alone when you're older, but I don't. So I want babies, bro. And then I'm putting pressure on my kid to say, and bro, I also want grandchildren. Do you understand? I want a massive family. That's not my pressure. It's my son's pressure. And it's not pressure like have a baby. It's he's going to go through his own life and what he goes through. And he could be in a position where his relationship doesn't facilitate a child. But there I am like, oh, but I want a grandbaby. You know, so I just don't want to be old and gray, number one. Number two, with regards to where we are now, right, is I think as men, we need to be realistic, right, about women and their bodies. We need to be very, very realistic. And women have biological clocks that absolutely exist. I mean, men go through puberty once, and then a lot later in life, we have pubescent characteristics. Women fully go through 3 puberties. They go through puberty at school. In their mid-20s, they go through puberty, and then they go through menopause. Okay, why? Why does that exist? Why does that happen? So women are born with all of their eggs, right? Now, because they're born with all of their eggs, there's I think term of expiry is the most derogatory way to put it, but there's a shelf life, my man, to the quality of these eggs, number one. Number two, it's the woman's body that changes when carrying a child. So understand the risks based on age, and not risks of the term of the pregnancy, or like the pregnancy going full term, but risks to the mother's life herself, you know. And unless us as men are willing to date younger and impregnate younger, it is a very, very big ask to be asking, I'd even say, women after 30. And not to say it's not doable, and no disrespect to anybody who doesn't have children after 30 who want children, but it's more difficult.
Yeah.
You know, it's a lot more difficult. And I mean, as guys, we're like, okay, I gave her the baby. I'm okay being a dad at 30. I can be a dad at 60 if I want to be, you know, but it's like, okay, but
women are different.
Who's mothering that side of the argument, you know? And this is, again, brings me back to your relationship needs to be ready for a baby. Do you understand? So yeah, it's women go through a lot more than men when it comes to babies, and also men are a lot more useless for the first couple of months than the mom. So as guys, that should be the first point of importance. It's like, okay, facilitate the environment for mom, and we're in a good place. You know, it's not about me once she's pregnant. You know, it's actually about her and the baby. for a
What
good while.
what did you have to prioritize though, or how did you like see the world in a different way since you became
Oh,
a
absolutely.
father?
Absolutely. So the world, I think, got a lot bigger, right? But also a lot more colorful. And I'll tell you why.
Mm.
There's things that I take for granted today, right? Like dew on the grass, right? I've seen it. It's dew on the grass. It wets my fucking socks. But my kid, bro, is like, bro, can you see that there's little droplets of water, bro, and it blows his mind. And it's like, holy shit, dude. I was also that kid, once upon a time. And it's that important because it is that cool. And you're just taking it for granted, bro, because you're in your head about the rest of the world, bro.
And you get so serious.
Stop and take a second to appreciate the dew on the grass, my man. Like, my kid is in love with gardening. It's incredible. Like, and he loves the sky. And he stops everything that he does when he sees a helicopter or an airplane. And he loves dogs, and it's like things I am so quick to take for granted, like, oh, a pink flower, I walk straight past that thing. I've seen it 15 times, but dude, so we have these pink flowers in our garden. Every day we will stop to look at the pink flower. And it's like, dude, just appreciate where you are. The world is so much more than your tunnel vision says it is, especially when your tunnel vision is saying the world is ugly. It's gray and dark. Bro, spend time with a 2-year-old. You'll see how much beauty there is in the world around you. How you've just been worked to not appreciate what's around you. And my kid has retaught me how to be a kid. Absolutely, dude. Absolutely. I mean, you must see me on one of those little plastic bikes. My man, I've got years on those things, bro. I'm experienced now. And it's only because my kid has reinvigorated that joy and that lust for life.
Yeah.
I put it as. Absolutely.
Wow. That's
Yeah.
amazing, Buddha. I love that.
Dude.
And I mean, since we started Coffee Charge Conversations, mental health is being talked about more.
Absolutely.
Why do you think mental health is important in today's world?
Mental health, man, I think it's been important in every world, in every generation that has existed, except the environment for mental health to exist didn't. And I think people paid more attention to how your mental affects your physical. So in today's world, mental health is really, really important, just because a lot of issues people deal with on a day-to-day, not knowing what the issue is, can be contributed to mental health and can be helped and made better through mental health, which gives people who are dealing with mental health problems and issues much better quality of life. So I think it's just about the same way somebody in a wheelchair needs to be thought about and catered to when we're building the Taj Mahal. We should be catering for and dealing with exactly the same type of ailments. And it brings me to a point that I used to reiterate so many times in my past life, my man, and I don't even know why it's come up now. But when you break your leg and it's pissing with blood, dude, immediately you're like, dude, you need to go to the hospital. There's something wrong here, bro.
Yes.
And I promise you, a bandage and a kiss is not going to help it. Okay? Now, why don't we treat heartbreak the same? Heartbreak is physical. When you get your heart broken, there's something called heartstrings in your pumping heart. That snap, okay? So my friend, a broken heart can kill you. It can end your life. Why don't we treat it the same?
Sure.
It's more likely to kill you than the broken leg. Why don't we treat it the same? The pattern of when really elderly people lose their spouse, they are so quick to follow. Why? It's a broken heart, my man. The heart just doesn't have the internal structures anymore to continue to facilitate life. A broken heart. So why don't we treat it the same? Mental health, guys, should probably be treated the same, if not more importantly, than an ailment you can see. Do you understand what I'm saying? And that's why it's one of the most important things ever.
And since we've started Coffee Charge Conversations, it rolls off
It
the
really
tongue
does.
these days.
I'm so glad you chose that name, bro. It's beautiful.
But since the beginning, I mean, if we look back to our first episode, I mean, the angle that we had these purple subtitles at the bottom that popped up in your face. It was like a little bit blurry. And I think we were all learning at that stage,
Absolutely.
and it needed to start that way. But each time I love this team because I feel like each episode we're just growing, and I don't feel like I'm putting my passion and my vision and throwing it onto you guys and making it your problem. I genuinely feel like you guys have the same goal in mind.
Absolutely. And this is why, Coffee Charged, man, my first love child. I remember really, really early on, the four of us, okay, there's two other people in the room, so the four of us
Yeah.
discussed your podcast and what you wanted to be and what you wanted to feel like. And I think already from that day, Coffee Charged was already a little bit of all of us, right? And I think based on actually now getting the first recording done, we could elaborate on the passion within Coffee Charged Conversations that is a part of all of us, you know. So I think Coffee Charged growth is attributable 90% to you, right? Because you were the conceptualization of the deal, of not even of the deal, but of the product, right? However, the growth of Coffee Charged, I think, is all of us, you know, because I've grown being behind the cameras directing Coffee Charged Conversations. Michelle, graphic designer, has grown learning about the weird and wonderful things that happen when we put out a podcast. It's not just set up two cameras, set up two mics and go. No, it isn't that. I mean, our sound engineer is now a video editor because of Coffee Charged Conversations. And I think none of that would exist if he and she were not passionate about it. And not passionate about video editing, passionate about Coffee Charged Conversations. Number one. Number two, I think you also need to take your hat off and understand how we've gotten better. You have also gotten better. I think
Big time.
how you're able to carry the conversations when the guests are not great, in contrast to when the guests are great, right? I feel like you've gotten a lot better at it.
Thanks, Buda.
Which again, it doesn't matter how great we are at editing. If you are not right in the show, it's for nothing. Do you understand? The message and the delivery of the message, we cannot dream up or make. The delivery of the message is all you, right? And all we get to do is piece the puzzles together to put out the episodes every week. So if I had to term it, it's encapsulating your passion for Coffee Charged Conversation while pushing the passions that we have discovered starting Coffee Charged Conversations. And this is why I think Coffee Charged is such an important thing, not only for what it represents and speaks of, but even just related to the guests, how their passions are catered to and facilitated. Coffee Charged is necessary and it's here to stay. And I'm excited to see where it's going to go, bro. Like, we started this October, November last year. We're not even a year in.
Yeah.
And we're sponsored. We have the process down. Our guests are growing. Your following is growing. I mean, we were looking at the following together today. My man, countries that are unheard of, bro, to me, you have a following. Coffee Charged Conversations has a following. So it just shows you that idea you had 8-9 months ago was an idea for the world. And we were just blessed enough to be able to bring it to life.
To be honest, without you guys, none of this would have been possible. I don't think many people know how it actually started, but I reached out to Chris, who's our sound engineer behind the camera at the moment, and I said, I want to start my own podcast. Don't know what I want to call it yet, but what kind of equipment can I buy to start it at home? He gave me a whole grocery list of things that I need to buy.
Yeah.
I didn't know what any of them really meant besides like maybe a microphone. And the next day he's like, you know what, bro? Actually, I work at a studio, and why don't you come try it there? So I was like, oh, okay, cool. From the moment I walked in here, I could feel the energy shift. It was, I can't put it into words. Just every time I come in here, I may have doubt before. I may not be feeling good about myself. As soon as I walk in these doors, I sit down here, I get my cup of coffee. I don't think you understand how grateful I am just to get that opportunity, and you guys really make that possible. what has been your what's been your favorite part about Coffee Charge? Like, what's been your favorite episode so far?
Um, before this one, um, they're all so good, Mike. I loved the Thrive episode. There was just so much knowledge, like, and not knowledge that's like, oh, you've taught me theoretical science, I'm never going to apply it in my life, but knowledge where it's like, I can use that, and I can use that too. And geez, I didn't know, I'm going to try that out. So there's like, it's knowledge, right? And I love learning. So that definitely one of them. Um, sure. Cameron's episode. My feels, bro. What an individual. Really, really good. Like almost holding back tears behind the scenes there, just listening to this man tell the story.
Yeah.
And also his positive outlook on life, incredible. Attorney Matusi, what an incredible character, what an incredible human being. Tatum Katano, bro, like her story also incredible. Geez, dude, all of them. I love Guy Salver's episode because it was our precipice. It was the minimum standard for us.
Yeah, it was our pilot.
Absolutely. I love that episode. Sure. Favorite? I think they're all my favorites. I feel like I'm invested into all of them. So it's not even about the guest. They're my favorites. And I think my favorite thing about Coffee Charge Conversations was our friendship. Yeah, I think our relationship has been really, really good. We communicate really well. A compliment I need to give you is you are really, really good at speaking a point across. You're really, really good at delivering an idea. Because something that happens in media a lot is, I want to be a podcaster. Okay, what do you want to do? A podcast.
Yeah.
Okay, about what? Stuff that's interesting. Okay.
What interests you? Yeah.
Dude, I'm pulling teeth here just trying to put a concept together for you because I need to go and relate to Misha what graphic work we need, right? I need to relate to Chris the energy of the edit that's necessary. If you can't give that to me, I'm not going to dream it up. I don't know. It's your podcast. So what you're really, really good at doing is, and yes, I call it panic, but you're just good at scrutinizing everything. Not out of, oh, I don't like this and I don't like that, but because you know what we're capable of and you know what the brand is capable of and you know what the content is capable of. So if it can be better, why isn't it? And I think that's something that we also put a lot of pressure on ourselves with regards to is, a lot of things that we do in this place, we're doing for the first time.
Yeah.
And it's only once we've done it a couple of times do we become comfortable with it. Yet we scrutinize ourselves as if it's the 1,000th time that we've done it. So yeah, I think what Coffee Charge Conversations has done is just really brought us together holistically. And now when other podcasts come, when artists come, we know it, bro. It's like, okay, let's cook. Give us the concept, give us the plan, bro. Let us operate. And before Coffee Charge Conversations, we'd never had the opportunity to. So, yeah, I think we also owe a lot to Coffee Charge. And I think a lot of the podcasts and content that's come out of our studio after Coffee Charge Conversations actually has a nod to it. A lot comes from Coffee Charged. A lot that we offer now as products, we didn't know we could do before Coffee Charge Conversations. So, yeah, it's been a good thing. It's our child. It's our baby.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And it wouldn't be possible, as I say, without Real Global Productions and
Hey,
this
shout out.
amazing team. Why do you think it's important to have people in your team or that you surround yourself with, especially in a work environment, that have a similar outlook on life?
Okay, so I think at work, right, you need to be aligned in vision and in your goals, right? That's where you need to be aligned. However, as a manager, with my team, right? Yes, I'm a manager, and all that means to me is if it goes absolutely wrong and pear-shaped, okay, I'll be the human shield first, right? However, Chris, dude, you still have very, very big responsibilities in this place because when it comes to sound and engineering, I'm not going to tell you how it should be, bro. I'm going to refer to your pool of knowledge, right?
That's a good way to lead.
Absolutely, with Misha, and we butt heads sometimes. But when it comes to the conceptualization of artwork, when it comes to social media strategies, when it comes to artist management, yes, I sign it off, and yes, I administrate it, but the flow and feeling of it, I should be drawing the knowledge from you. So I will give you a concept and idea, but you are the final say, I believe. Now, it could be the polar opposite. Chris, this must be like this, bro. Do this like this. You're the sound engineer. That's what I want to make my coffee. Misha, bro, I want these assets from you, bro. It's for this. Put them together like this. And when it's done, let me know. Okay, but then you don't really have a team. You've got two people who you give shit to. And if things don't work and don't go the right way, you've got somebody to point the finger to. However, for me, it's like I'm going to put my faith in you, right? Because if the audio comes out really, really bad, bro, and we get a scathing review on whatever, and it trickles its way down into our boss, who is a sponsor for XYZ ABCD, and now I'm being ripped to pieces, bro, because of bad quality audio that came out, Chris won't even be a part of the conversation.
It's almost like with Corey, how you were saying it's a mirror.
Absolutely.
And if you're a micromanager and the people you work with you don't get the best out of them, then it's going to show, and it's going to reflect badly on you.
Absolutely. And look, like the biggest thing is your team needs to feel like they're heard, man. Like I cannot emphasize that enough. And the way to get the best out of your team is to give them the responsibility that you have. So you are the importance in this decision. Yes, I'm the manager of it, bro. But with regards to audio and quality, you're the guy, dude. If you are happy, even if I say, I'm not 100% sure about that, detail it to me and you explain it, I'm not going to make you change it. I won't do that. Why, bro? Because I trust what you're putting out of here. I trust the product you're putting out of here. But also, I need you to trust yourself. So I need you to trust the quality of the work that you're putting out. So if you do something and I'm like, no, wrong. The next time you do it, you're not going to trust that it's correct, even if it's brilliant. And the same with the graphic side, the same with the artist management side. So it's like all I will do is take the fall if it isn't right, because I veto it right at the end. So I oversee the last thing, deliver the product, right? But with regards to all of it, I mean, now I don't really spend a lot of time in the recording booth, but for almost the whole of last year, I was in the recording booth with the sound engineer, because I need to know what your processes are in order for me to understand and manage it. Okay. Same thing with Misha. Dude, crash course me on Canva, crash course me on all of it, bro, because I need to get it. Not only to understand your end goal product, but also to delegate. Like, for example, if I don't understand that a project is going to take 12 days to complete, by actually doing it, how can I ask this woman to give it to me in 4 days, in 2 days? If I can do it in 2 days and it comes out the same quality, then there's a conversation about time management that needs to happen. You understand what I'm saying? But if I'm doing it in a shorter time than you are, it's your thing. It's your baby. Do you understand? And it's just about allowing people responsibility. It's the only way they grow. It's the only way they grow.
Buda, my final question to you.
It
feels like it just goes so quickly,
for like
dude.
20 minutes. Crazy.
But when did you feel lost in your life, and how did you find yourself again?
Wow. When did I feel lost? I'll actually tell you. So I was termed as like, popular kid. And straight out of school, I became a DJ. I mean, I played my first club gig when I was too young to be at the club, right? I got stopped at the door. The bouncers were like, ID. And I'm like, I've got a green ID book. I don't have a driver's license, right? I've got my learners. No, you need to be 18 years old to get into this place. And I was like, okay, but that's my name. I'm DJing, dude. What do you want me to do? And obviously after school, you're now a DJ getting into clubs. You're popular. Your friend circle is huge, and it's made up of 50 million different friend circles. And you can walk into any bar or restaurant and someone will know you. And it's like, okay, I've got a lot of people around me, dude, but depressive,
close.
dude. I'm depressive. I'm not who I want to be in my relationship. I'm facilitating people who shouldn't matter and don't matter. I'm drinking Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday because I'm gigging Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And it's not to say there's anything wrong with being a DJ and being in that environment, but I loved my art, right? However, what I didn't understand is that in order to elaborate on your art, there's a lot of social pressure that comes with it. So I'll say in my glory days, my 17 to 21, I was the most lost kid. And you'd never say it. I would never say it. I think how I
But you
portrayed,
felt it.
even by feeling then, I didn't know I was lost until I settled, man, until I was like, what is my, not 3-year goal, but 5-year goal for my family? What is my 5-year goal career-wise, bro? Because as a DJ, you don't get a pay slip. You don't get an RP5. So how do I take out a loan? How do I grow? How do I adult? So yeah, I was just really, really lost. And only when I started to take like serious responsibility for myself. So I got myself a corporate job. I called it a cozy corporate in a brilliant, beautiful company that catered to my music. I'm in a corporate environment, but every Friday they have, it's a piss up, it's a party, but they have drinks Fridays. And I can play my music. I can elaborate on my art, but now I'm working in an environment where I've got a pay slip and I can grow. And all of a sudden, I'm in conversations about buying a house, and I'm in conversations about, okay, my credit score is looking like this, and we're on our way. And only when I was in that environment, the environment I'm in now, even now with my child, could I look back on the years 17 to 21 and realize, boy, you were so far from where you're happy. You were so far from where your heart is, dude. And the scary thing for me is it meant so much. Keeping up appearance for people meant so much. And it was for nothing, bro. It was for peanuts. So yeah, I was really, really lost when I had the most people around me. Now my circle is probably the smallest it's ever been, and I'm home. I'm content.
That's amazing, Buddha.
Absolutely.
And you are just an incredible person. Your energy is absolutely contagious.
Stop it, Mike.
It is.
Stop it.
You make me happy just even chatting on the
Absolutely.
phone. I give you that voice note. I go, Buddha, and you know that I'm going to
Mikey
talk about
Mike.
work.
Absolutely.
But yeah, honestly, I wouldn't say short space of time, but in the space of time that we've had, I feel like you and I have also just grown a lot closer.
Absolutely.
I feel so comfortable chatting to you about things that I'm going through, work life, personal life.
No, 100%.
And at the end of the day, you've become like a proper brother to me. So
Absolutely. And I feel exactly the same, Mike. Like, you might not know, like with all of my artists, but Mike is like number one, all of the podcasters. I keep up communication with everybody. So it's not just a business relationship, right? But me and Mike speak like every day, dude. And it's multiple times a day.
Yeah.
And if it's not like a 10-minute voice note, it's a 20-minute phone call, or like paragraphs upon paragraphs of messages. And it's just a constant back and forth.
Yeah.
And I think that's where we've learned how best to communicate with each other, which is the best foundation for a friendship, which we've built. We've been, through Coffee Charged, forced to be vulnerable with one another, which I think has just elaborated on how we are friends that are just doing a really cool project together. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it doesn't feel like work.
It's not I'm a manager of a production studio, and I really, really do think that as life goes on, even if Coffee Charge Conversations ended today, even if Real Global Productions ended today, we'll most likely still speak every day and be like, Buddha, Mikey Mike. Like, that's just, I look forward to it. I mean, even my fiance now knows, bro. Like, if I'm like, oh, I've got a voice note from Mike, she goes, Buddha, Mikey Mike. So like, it's
beautiful.
It is beautiful. And I'm so blessed and enamored, bro, to just have the opportunity to be in your life, dude, and walk this journey with you. I think it's going to be brilliant. I think it's going to be great. I think you're great. I think you're doing brilliantly. I think nothing happens by coincidence. It's all by intention. And I think even though our friendship happened to be coincidence, I think the intention was always there. So yeah, we love you, Mike.
Oh, I love you too, Buddha. And I love the team.
Mike.
Thank you to all of you guys, and
absolutely.
Thanks to Real Global Productions.
It's a pleasure, man.
yeah, thanks to Thrive Labs as well for sponsoring this episode. We love you guys.
Absolutely. Kawabanga. Thank you.